All right, what were you yelling at me about?
I wasn't yelling at you about it.
You were yelling at me about something.
What? When? Just now?
Yeah.
No, I wasn't.
Yes, pee break. God. Have you been on this show, Susan? Thanks for being in the chat room, Susan.
Boo, I'll message Ed and see if he's in his house. I don't know who that is. Cool.
The chat room is all messed up for me all day today.
The chat room really wasn't very engaged in what we were talking about.
They were in their own little world, but
They really were.
Yeah. You ADD motherfuckers. All right, as soon as all the bathroom people wander back.
That may be one of the best bathrooms, dressing room area things I've ever been to.
Really?
need to go
I'm
there.
switching bathrooms.
No, it's that it was the awesome bathroom. Your bathroom's the awesome bathroom, Rob.
Okay.
Apparently, everyone has to go see.
She didn't know about the girl rubbing your feet. You know. So.
Wait, hold on. I haven't taken a bathroom break yet. Maybe I need to go pee.
That's not in the guest bathroom. That's
Yeah, you gotta go there. One.
yeah.
That's all right. But not, like,
Yeah, it's
aw.
fine.
You walk in,
I'm
it's
okay
like,
with that.
"Oh."
But yeah.
Can I borrow
I
the
can't even
foot rubber?
like my chat room just doesn't update the way it usually does, and I have no idea what the hell they're even.
I've been watching it. They have not been talking about things that are happening on this show.
Yeah, I've noticed that. See, part of it was that it wasn't scrolling down. It's
Yeah,
not that
it was not
wasn't
scrolling
updating,
at all.
It wasn't
Yeah.
scrolling.
Killing me.
And,
Mine's been scrolling
And
all
so
the
I was making comments off stuff that they'd said, and
Like-
I noticed I was like, oh, that was 20
An
minutes
hour
ago.
ago.
Yeah.
All right, so post-show topics. The first one is I wanted to revisit what we were talking about last week about the
Morality.
bases of morality. And I wanted to walk back what I said. Because last week I said that my morality was based on maximizing human well-being. However, that's not exactly true. Because I believe that we have a moral responsibility to non-human animals. And so I have been struggling all week to develop a new foundation for my morality, having come to that conclusion. And so my tentative answer now is that I believe that morality stems from maximizing well-being of sentient beings.
Okay.
I don't think that, and this is, I was trying to get at this kind of a little bit last week in the chat room. I think that when you talk about a basis for morality, that's where atheists often get attacked, and the reason is that Christians, theists, they say that the basis for our morality is God. God is the one who
Right.
determines what this is.
And they are correct when they say that it would be the only objective source of morality.
Right.
They're correct in that.
And well, I mean, I think there's other ones that you can come up with, but they're all constructed. They're all
Right.
still
There's-
constructs.
Right.
And I just think that you know, we're not looking for something that replaces God when we do it. No. So if you were to ask me, you know, what is really the source of my morality, I would say there's not. You know, I think I've worked on trying to develop a framework for it.
Okay.
And I mean, my own, I think the one I identify with the most is, you know, it's very human, but it's empathy and compassion.
Yeah.
And that's where I build mine. That kind of can't, and I stole that. That's not mine. I've read a lot of the philosophical treatises on it. This is one that Carol Gilligan, who's a feminist author, she was actually a psychologist first. Her background wasn't just philosophy, which is where you get most of the arguments on it. But I think I identify with that the most. You know, I think that's where I like to root mine, is in compassion. And I think that can be extended too to
Sure.
animals and the rest, and empathy. I think that feeds into some of the questions that you're going to bring up on this too, and response-wise. But I just wanted to start with, I think the best response to what is a basis for morality, there's not one. You know,
I can go with
there's
that.
not a source for it.
But if you're talking, right, I can go with that. I think that's a really intelligent response to that. My problem will come in if you say empathy, there are people who lack empathy. So what do you say about morality for people like that?
Right, and that's if you're going to make it objective as opposed to subjective.
And I think it
I
needs
think
to be.
and I don't think I think you're right. There are people who lack empathy. I think that they are people who lack morality. You know,
Sure.
I think there are plenty of non-moral people.
There are awful people of all
Sure.
stripes.
I think that most humans can have the capacity for empathy. The ones who don't are the ones that are horribly flawed, and I feel really bad for them.
Yeah.
You know, that's your sociopaths.
But what do you tell those people who just can't even comprehend when you say, well, just think about what other people are feeling, and that's the moral thing. If they're unable to do that, I mean, I'm just saying, if I tell someone maximizing the well-being of sentient beings, even someone who does not have a moral compass, someone who does not have emotions that we would recognize, can understand that.
Mm-hmm. That makes me think of Dexter. If anybody's seen that, you know, it's the same thing. I mean, the dude's a psychopath. You know, and he doesn't have. I don't think he really has empathy. I only watched about a season of it, so I didn't get into it totally. But you know, he's set up. He's a serial killer, and instead of you know, his adopted father, I think it wasn't his real father, was it? It doesn't really matter, but instead of instilling in him, hey, here's empathy for you, you know, I'm going to raise you right, and you're going to grow and get this empathy. Instead, he gives him a set of rules to follow.
Yeah.
And that's a possibility too. It can be a rule-based morality framework.
It's messing me up that basically you have accurately, I think, said that what I'm proposing is a set of rules for psychopaths. It's totally true. That is totally an accurate way of describing what I have just said.
So when you say morality versus immorality, it's basically good versus bad. What is it to be a good person versus what is it to be a bad person? It's a way you could rephrase that. And where does that come from? I think I'll revisit just a bit what Reb said last week, which is I think that is dependent upon your culture. What is good for one? No, I think what is good for one culture is not necessarily good in another culture. I think it is.
It's not necessarily good in that culture, is what I would say.
For that culture, it is.
I think,
no.
I'm not saying everything. I'm not saying that in some cultures rape is good and theft is good. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there are different
female genital mutilation is not good in any culture, but it's
to
moral.
our culture. To our culture, it is not good.
To any culture,
It is immoral.
No, to any culture, I would say that is immoral.
I agree with you, but that is our stance. That's where we are within our culture.
Right,
In their culture, do they see it that way?
No,
Right.
they don't. But I'm just saying
It's
that
good
does
versus
not that does not mean that it is not immoral, even in their culture.
And
You're missing the point that I'm saying.
if they could have human empathy, I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're coming from, and I would say that the moral framework that they're working with it's not right. It's not an ethical framework that they're coming from.
Well, that's what Jeff was saying, that they're just given rules. Like, this is what you're going to do, whether it's moral or not, and whether it's good or bad, that's what you're going to do. So that's what they're given, that framework, instead of, well, shit, it hurts.
Right.
You know,
And-
what's the fucking point?
And
you know?
what is and the question is, what is the judgment factor? Who makes that call? What entity or what source makes the call between what is good and what is bad? We agree in this room that genital mutilation is bad. It's immoral.
Right.
But obviously it takes place, and it takes place in a widespread
And other
fashion.
people say that it's moral and
Right.
justified and just.
So what is the judgment factor there is what you're asking. Where is morality as we see good defined?
I think basically what we're rubbing up against here.
By the way, I do want to say, I want to give us all a hand for not digging in on Mark Nebo's wife's friends.
Oh, I know.
and
We
husband's
let-
friends.
Oh no, that was touched. It just wasn't explored. There was no caressing.
We released on that very, very quickly. No, I go with Jay. I'm very proud of us for not, sailing that ship all the way home.
Anyway, what you were saying.
I have no idea what I was saying.
What we're
No,
rubbing up against.
What we're rubbing up against is that there are objective ways of looking at different systems of morality and judging them better, worse.
Sure.
Systems of morality where they say all women should have their clitorises removed, their labia removed, and the opening of their vagina sewn shut. Objectively inferior morality to cultures who don't accept that.
Agreed. I'm not disagreeing with you there.
Okay, good.
But in their culture,
It's acceptable, right? But it's not. It is inferior to a secular morality.
And they have a moral framework that's screwed up.
Right.
Right.
It's not a moral system, though they accept it as such.
And quite often, those are all cultures who put God as the source of their morality,
True. Very
which is why I say you're better off not having a source of morality. You're
Yeah.
better off not having a God that says, do this dumb shit.
I think that's dead on. I like that. All right. So
again,
let me-
what makes you feel good versus what makes you feel bad, I think is what in psychologically, I think that's what it comes down to.
no. No.
I'm interested to know your perspective. on that.
Well, and that's where I was coming at with the empathy and compassion. It's not just what makes you feel good that makes it good. Reb was taking the position of a hedonistic position. Okay, that's based out of the Epicurean cults, the Greek, blah 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 blah. But I think the position of empathy and compassion is looking at I should do things that
Are
where
good.
I can put myself into somebody else's. I should treat somebody the way that they would like to be treated, and compassion in terms of, if they don't know how to do it, these are the things that's good for other people.
So when presented with a situation wherein you have the option to take an action versus take inaction, or whether that action or inaction be good or bad, so the action could be good or the action could be bad, same vice versa. Inaction could be good, inaction could be bad. The moral decision is based on what is the empathetic thing to do. What would you have done? What would you prefer have done to you in that situation?
Right.
And
And that part of the framework, I mean, that's just what I was looking at in terms of that only works in terms of personal communication with that doesn't deal with, it doesn't work very well when you start applying it to bigger social issues, but it works in terms of how you deal with other people. And I mean,
Interpersonal
personally, I think that's more important. I think that
most of the moral situations we come
Right.
into contact with are those.
Exactly, and that's what it is. You're making moral decisions every day. You're making ethical decisions every day.
Or
most of them
unethical decisions,
right? Or
in the case of
unethical.
Jay.
And in the case
But
of
as
all of
long as
us
they
too,
feel
I mean,
good.
Unethical
I
decision.
fuck up all the time. I don't have
So
any
does
problem
Jay.
doing it. Yeah, that's.
It does irritate me that you paint me like that, because it's not the case.
If you were more empathetic, Jay.
Here's what I like. It's like Jay is really, really proud of fucking with me, but he doesn't really like it when it happens to him, does it?
Well, I can never tell when you're actually fucking with me or when you're serious.
I'm pretty much always fucking.
Okay, you're always fucking me. Is that what you just said?
I believe it is. It's not what I intended to say, but
Let me go on record as saying that is not what happens.
except for that one time on the beach in the back of your truck.
Wait, hold on.
Good
Is it-
story.
I don't remember
With the
that.
cotton balls.
I don't. I'm gonna call rape on
Roofies
this
are a
one.
bitch.
I thought it was just hungover. No
I
wonder.
I had to say though that all kidding aside, that was like some of the best sleep I've ever had. Is like back open.
There was no cuddling in actuality. There was no
it
physical
was-
contact.
It was cold. It wasn't that cold.
My sleeping bag zips up. It's a one-person fucking sleeping bag, guys.
He wishes he. Jay protests too much. All right. So this is the other thing that was really messing with my mind this week as I was thinking about last week's post show. Why are humans more important to us morally than ants or dogs or cats? Well, I understand cats, but dogs.
That's not fair.
That is totally fair.
Yeah, it is.
So I mean, the basic thing, if you run into, and everyone I've talked to this week has said, if I say, if you are in a burning building and there's a dog and a human, neither of whom you would know, and you can only save one, who do you save? Everyone says the human, and then I say why?
They have more
And
ability to
there's-
make an impact.
An impact on what?
The world around them.
And that's a good thing because I mean it could
No,
be a
not
bad
necessarily.
thing.
It could be. Absolutely. If
So I mean,
I
the
knew the
safer
dog and I knew the
choice
human,
could be
it'd
the
be an easy.
dog.
Yeah, then
If I knew the dog and I knew the human, it'd be a much easier decision.
Okay, so you think there are situations in which you run by Zelda and save the dog.
Oh, we could name names here. I mean, there's some douches out there that I would totally leave and get the dog, even if it was an ugly fucking dog.
3 legs and 1 eye.
If
I might even do it for a cat.
Whoa,
Nothing wrong with
See,
cats.
I think that example played into my empathy thing. When it comes to do you squish an amoeba? Do you squish a bee? Well, if that bee is going to sting me, yeah. But bees, they don't have the capacity for empathy.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Dogs.
dude.
I mean, I lost a
They
dog
do.
recently. No, I like that dog.
Yeah.
And if the dog saw me sitting there and I looked like, no, the dog would come over and lay his head
Yeah.
on me.
Right, yeah.
That was
they do have
freaking
the
cool.
capacity.
Cat never does that. No empathy there.
Cats are fucking evil.
But-
Cats totally do that.
They're sometimes cute, okay? And there's a cute thing there. Yeah, all right, whatever. I'm not into them, but I get it.
Oh, I would totally save
there's
Murphy and
plenty
let
of
the cat
Reddit
die.
posts.
All right. Go ahead.
If again, it really does depend on the person. If you have George W. Bush, pre-second term, and even a cat, yeah.
So let me ask this. So murdering sentient beings.
Murdering sentient beings like a
Yes.
spider, for example? Would
Spider is
would call
probably
it-
not sentient.
You wouldn't consider that sentient?
Probably not.
Okay.
Let's isolate our conversation to dogs and people.
Okay,
And
just dogs and people. Okay.
So murdering a dog, not as serious legally as murdering a human.
Sure.
Morally,
I was about to say it depends on the dog, but I stopped myself. I have only intentionally killed one animal that, and that fucking thing was basically evil. Okay, intentionally murdered one animal without any knowing that I was not going to use any part of that thing. I killed it to kill it.
Whoa! Because if I murdered Jeff right now and I eat every bit of Jeff, that's still murder.
Okay, technically that's murder. Okay, I have only killed
You've
one
killed
animal.
many animals.
I have
so
only killed one animal that I knew that I had the only
You were
purpose
just-
behind
you
the
just
only purpose
wanted it
behind
dead.
it was that the fucking dog needs to die
Okay, and why was that?
because
I feel like I don't want to know the answer to this, but go ahead.
because it was terrorizing my dogs and it was fucking evil.
It's terrorizing in what way?
So it was a neighbor's dog?
It was a stray dog and it had been hanging around my house in the country for 3 weeks, fighting with my dog every single day, injuring my dog.
Okay, so put this in moral terms for me.
In moral terms, it was causing great damage and unrest to my situation, my animal who was otherwise happy and not causing problems. So yes, I killed that animal for the sole purpose of making it not be. We have a call.
We have a call. Atheist Airwaves post show. Who are you and what do you want?
Hi, this is Josh.
Hi, Josh. Lay some wisdom on us, brother.
Okay, so I don't know what I missed because the feed's been really crappy
Sorry, but
lately.
I did that on purpose, and fuck you.
Jay's dog. Okay, so
The dog he murdered, you mean?
his that was getting attacked.
Okay.
By
Okay.
What
Oh shit, my girlfriend is.
could it have been? Jay's dog's fault? Sounds like Jay's dog was stupid enough to keep going back and getting beaten.
He wasn't going back and getting beaten.
And-
He was in
and
his fucking crate.
If your dog was so stupid, shouldn't your dog have been killed by the other dog? I see where Josh is going.
I see where he's going as well. My dog was perfectly happy in his crate on my porch when he kept getting harassed and attacked by this fucking beast of a dog.
I'm telling Doll Chick 62 that I'm 19 male. She's 24 female.
Didn't I say we should not do this?
You did, but I'm doing it anyway.
It's Doll Chick. Come on.
Like, she doesn't even know. Like, seriously, this should be our new thing. Let's see what we can make Doll Chick say.
Next, we're gonna start going into chat rooms and soliciting people to
I'm taking my pants off. Well, I'm home from. I'm so sorry, Josh. I'm like totally trampling on your call.
It's okay. I forgot what the other thing was I was going to talk about.
Well, take a moment to think about it, and I'm going to read what Doll Chick is saying here.
So, no, we're not gonna read about fucking Doll Chick.
man,
We're
but
gonna
she's
talk
like
about
totally
morality.
into me now.
So was it immoral for me to end the life of something that was needlessly wreaking havoc upon my life and my dog's life, who was not doing anything to solicit this fucking problem? The dog showed up and started being a dick and started attacking and physically harming my otherwise happy, calm, non-aggressive dog. Is that immoral?
Yes,
What should I have done?
removed one of the animals from the situation.
So I should have removed my dog because I couldn't catch this little fucker, and I was
How did you kill it?
with a gunshot to the head.
Well, I guess technically that could be sort of removing the problem.
I lived in unincorporated, it was Lonoke County, and there were no services. I couldn't call animal control to come take this thing. And I tried to catch it so that I could relocate it or take it to a shelter or whatever, and the dog would not be caught. I didn't have a cage to catch the fucking dog. What should I have done?
Tried harder. That's all I got.
Tried harder? Okay, well, for 3 weeks I tried to,
Okay,
to,
well,
to make
I
the
just-
dog leave. I mean, I could have injured the dog and hope he left.
No.
Right, that would
no.
be an immoral thing to do if you asked
But I'm just
me.
saying, if the dog has
Yeah.
access to your dogs, you have access to that dog.
You ever tried to catch a dog that doesn't want to be caught?
Yes, I've run many miles after dogs who don't want to be caught.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. No.
I did recently kill a dog.
Intentionally?
Yeah, my own.
Okay. Well, okay.
Yeah, lymphoma.
Okay, I take that back.
But you know what?
I
I'm
have
totally
killed
into
two.
that
I
for
killed my
people,
own.
too.
I'm too. I think that it's
Euthanasia.
abysmal in
Okay.
this society that we grant the ability to escape
Trauma,
that kind of
yeah.
pain.
We do treat our
to
animals better than we
animals
treat our
in
humans.
that one situation.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it kills me that we don't. Although let me ask you this: does anyone feel very strongly that they would choose euthanasia if they had cancer or terminal cancer?
Oh, I think so. I'm almost certain.
More than likely, yeah.
Petey,
Yeah,
really?
I totally should.
I feel like
do
I
that.
wouldn't.
Mhm.
I think once I hit the point where my quality of life was so bad that it was just pain,
Yeah.
or once it actually got to the brain and it started diminishing my capacity,
Yeah.
I think that would be the point where I chose it.
So let me say this. So one, I think sitting here on the other side, not knowing what that's like, I think I wouldn't do that. I have no idea what I would actually choose, because I mean humans have difficulty imagining pain anyway.
Well, I saw my grandmother die very, very, very slowly from Alzheimer's.
Mm-hmm.
And so I saw what it did to my mom because in our family, we don't put people in nursing homes. We sit there and we watch them die slowly, 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 slowly. So I can't imagine doing that with my mom. So much so my mom suffered so much with her great-grandma, her grandma, her mom, that she's like, if it comes to it and this is what's going to happen to me, she was like, just give me a gun. I don't even care. And that's my mom's words to me,
Okay.
to where I can't even imagine. And it was, we would plan parties when I was in college around weekends that I was going to go home and watch my grandmother so my mom could have a weekend off because she was there 24 hours a day, just getting more and more depressed and just sitting there watching that. So
Yeah.
I guess that's why I have that opinion.
And dementia is just one of those things. It's really, really hard
I-
to even imagine.
Yeah.
Because it's not the same person. It's
not.
You know,
Yeah.
my grandfather died of Alzheimer's, and
Mine
so
did
did my
too.
grandmother, and they were not the same person.
totally.
And I mean, shortly after they were diagnosed, they weren't the same person. It came on so quickly. It's one of those things where honestly, I don't know if you're even able to make an informed decision once you're diagnosed on it, because usually it's been a slow degradation.
Oh,
And as much as I wouldn't want to do it, I just don't think that I would even have the capacity to make that choice once it gets to that with dementia. That one scares the hell out of me more than cancer does.
Oh, absolutely. I agree.
I guess that's why my mom has been like, no, just end it. She's seen it too many times that it's just.
So let me pose another question for you. If you have a loved one that you know would make that decision, the same decision to say end it, would you face the repercussions if they came across that position and euthanize them? I would.
My
Yes,
mom
I would.
My
Yes,
mom
I
would shoot
If
herself.
if they asked me directly, if I was unsure even a little bit, I would not. Okay, we have another.
I agree.
We have another call. You are on Atheist Airwaves Post Show. Who are you and what the hell do you want? Wow. Okay. Oh, okay.
Hello.
Hey, what's
Can you
up?
hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Hey, it's Leslie. So I don't know where I'm stopped at,
Okay.
but
Go for it.
I was calling to say that chemo is the worst thing imaginable.
You've been through
and-
chemo?
Yes,
Okay.
I went through chemo and radiation.
Which? Whoa.
Sorry. That's my chair. Wait, let me move.
I feel like that was your colostomy bag. I'm an awful human being. Okay, so I kind of want to ask you what that. I mean, can you tell the difference between what was caused by chemo and what was caused by radiation?
Well, because I went through them at different times.
Oh,
So I went through-
excellent.
I went through chemo first.
I
so
mean,
went
thank
through-
you.
Right?
I'm so sorry.
Sounds cool.
That's rocking. Tell us about that. So tell us about being on chemo, and then tell us about being on radiation.
So no, but through chemo was awful because it basically destroys all the good things that your body has going for you. So you can't fight off any sort of infection. So
No
it's
boners.
not so much the chemo itself that's awful, it's everything you're surrounded by that's awful. So
What?
I
Okay.
ended up in the hospital a few
So-
times just from random
Hold
bacterial
on. So
infections.
she's basically saying that the chemo wasn't so bad, but she got sick a lot because it destroyed her immune system, and that's why it was awful, right?
Yeah, I mean there was at one point that I was basically just ready to die. So I ended up in the hospital with like 104 degrees fever. We were pretty much ready at that point. So
Wow.
and
So-
that wasn't the cancer. So a lot of people don't die from their cancer. They die from secondary infections.
So what about radiation? How did that affect you?
A lot of people don't have problems with radiation. However, mine actually went through my throat, through my esophagus. So the tissue inside my esophagus started to deteriorate. So
Ugh.
I was choking on my tissue a lot. It was-
Ugh.
Wow, that's the phrase I'm pretty sure I've never heard before, and hopefully don't
And
hear
it-
again.
and it also leaves giant sunburn. It's like having a
Interesting.
giant sunburn, except that it it doesn't just peel in thin layers; it peels in thick layers. So it's not
Oh,
It's not-
that's
yeah.
nasty.
Is that painful, like the peeling?
a little bit.
Jay would choke
Yeah.
on his own tissue if he could reach.
Everything.
Wouldn't you?
So
You can
considering
reach.
the fact that what I had was, like, if you're gonna end up with a cancer, if what I had was like one of the ones you'd rather end up with, I'm imagining what it's like to go through terminal cancer and
Yeah.
the treatments for it. That's fucking awful. It's-
I couldn't.
I would
I
opt
don't
out
know.
quickly.
So let me throw this out here. And again, I preface this with understanding that what I'm saying is completely without experience or knowledge of what that must be like. I have there's no way to fathom it. In fact, I think that, Leslie, and feel free to yell at me, you motherfucker. But I feel like,
Can I do it preemptively?
sure, go ahead.
Fuck you, motherfucker.
I didn't say you say fuck you.
Sorry, I retract that.
Humans are really bad at recollecting pain. And so I feel like even you having gone through it maybe can't accurately describe just how horrible it was. So I want to throw that out there first. Are you getting drugs out, Jeff? Is that what's going on here?
Psychedelics?
It's for the psychedelics discussion that's coming up.
Yeah, we're going to talk about psychedelics in a minute if we get to it. But so let me just say this: I had problems with depression and suicidal ideation as a younger person, including being hospitalized for it. What eventually the conclusion I came to that helped me get to this point in my life is that this is the only life you get. And as shitty as it may be, as great as it may be, as awful as it may feel in your head, and I understand like when you're in the throes of that kind of thing, rational thought is not always there. However, that's been kind of my philosophy, and it's gotten me through a long way, which is this is the only life you get. And even as shitty as it can be, the shittiest day is better than any day that you haven't gotten. And this is, and again, I have not experienced days as shitty as extreme pain.
Right. If you're completely useless and you know that there's no hope for being useful again.
But if I could just, all I keep thinking about it, and I got to tell you, like the men on my mother's side of the family, none of them reach 50. And so it's a very real possibility for me that I won't live another decade. That's very real for me. And I think about having my children and being in pain, and I think about if I had Dr. Kevorkian come into the room and end it for me, am I not going to experience one last, and not even a whole day, but like a moment with my daughter?
I think
Where
that's
we-
selfish of you if it's done for your sake rather than her sake.
You think I should kill myself for her sake?
No,
My daughter is like really fed up with me being sick, so
No,
I
if she-
should kill myself.
Would you?
Are you really?
You
Would
can
you
go ahead
rather-
and get on with your life now. This is for you.
Would you?
Can you push the button, honey? I know you want this
Would
to be
you?
over.
Would you rather your child see you suffer?
Well, okay, so perfectly honest, this is something that I thought about, which is like I put myself in my own shoes. Like my grandfather died of on my dad's side. My grandfather on my mom's side died really young. My grandfather on my dad's side died of Alzheimer's. Yeah, and I don't think I could really fully understand at the time what that meant. And
Sure.
my dad would walk in and he's like, "Who are you? And did you go to college?" And my dad would say yes, and he would say, who paid for that? And he would be like, you did. And my grandfather would literally be like, that was really nice of me. But he died a really awful death. But I mean, I don't know. I think like you were so lucky. I go back to, is it Unweaving the Rainbow? Do you remember, Leslie, the Dawkins book?
No.
Okay, awesome. There's a Dawkins book, and
Who's that?
Jay doesn't know anybody.
I hate you so much. But in someone in the chat room is going to help me out here. But in the foreword, Dawkins gives
They're
like
talking about comic books.
the most amazing thing that Dawkins has ever contributed to, in my opinion, to humanity is his "We are the lucky ones" speech. You know, we're the lucky ones because we're going to die. Most people are never
I've
going to.
read that.
It's one of my favorite things of all time. Most people are never going to die because they're never going to live. Because the possible set of humans based on our DNA possibilities far outstrips the number of humans that have existed, do exist, or ever will exist.
Mm-hmm.
And giving up even 5 minutes of something wonderful.
Even though it's complete and total torture and
Yeah.
pain and agony.
And again,
I think that's silly.
But I can see Christian's point in that, because there are things that I would go through horrible pain for just to experience, and that's
Sure.
the kids are one of those things. If I had kids there who and it was still a good experience there, I would go through a whole lot of pain.
That's a different story. If it's
for
still a,
5 minutes.
Yeah.
if it's still a good experience.
To say something awful, you're thinking about your kids as today, not 60 and you're 80 and you're now suffering in a bed that
Right.
you're 5'10" or whatever you are, 180 pounds, and then all of a sudden you're 75 pounds and 5'4", and you're just laying in a bed all day every day.
And-
Like that's what I've
For
seen.
me, I'm like really looking at, I'm going to be dead in 8 years possibly. And that's what I'm thinking about these issues through the lens of. These are, my kids are going to be my kids in that time period. And the two things I'm balancing to your point, Jay, is, I can remember what it's like going into a hospital room with a loved one who you remember as something else, who is not what they are in your memory in that hospital room, in that bed, under that disease. And do I want my children to remember me that way? I'm not going to off myself because it's like I broke my arm. I don't want you to remember me with my arm bent backwards like this. So I'm just going to.
Right. I get what you're saying.
It's a tough call, but I really do think that if this is your only ability to perceive something, and after you're gone, that's it. An extra minute of something amazing. How can you turn your back on that? I mean, and again, I just hate myself for even making this, because you look at someone like Robin Williams who killed himself yesterday, and I have some inkling of what he went through and what that does to your mind, and I can totally understand being in that situation. I just find it personally easier to look at it as we really need to just get you a full-fledged bong, because I was just I know
What's that?
but I mean, I can't help but thinking, having brought myself through that stuff.
It's good shit. I really want to go see if there's an e-cig shaped like a bone.
I don't know. Does that make any sense at
It
all,
does,
or
it
am I
does.
just?
I get what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. What,
Fucking kill me.
How do you? So, having been through this situation, Leslie, how do you? I mean, you've been in the situation where you thought you were dying, yes,
Yes.
and you were in pain and you were sick. Thinking about even like a flawed recollection of what that's about, which is certainly what you have. I mean, just scientifically,
Well, right.
right.
Well, at the time, whenever I was for sure that, in my mind, I was pretty sure that I was dying.
Mm-hmm.
I was completely okay with it. Like, I was at peace. I knew where my daughter was. Because I was actually in Oklahoma. My parents had come to pick. They had figured out how to get her. Basically, I was ready to go because I was at that point that miserable and just ready to let go. So there is that point of physical release where you need to be out of your body.
Would you? But I mean, like looking back on it now, had you had the option of euthanasia, do you think it would have been? I mean, would you have traded the years and I'm assuming years. I don't know how many.
Well, what I had at that point was terminal. I would have still have tried the treatment to get me to the point I am now. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
If you know that.
But you had no choice, really. I mean, euthanasia was not a choice for you. I mean, suicide might have been, but I mean, that's more difficult than something like, Like
if they had just handed it to me there. But that's the thing. I would have had to have known things like what were the chances that I was going to make it through and stuff.
But no one knows that.
Kind of options.
No one knows that.
Laid out in front of me too.
You can take a fucking guess.
They would have been able to
But she's saying she thought she was going to die.
I thought it was.
So her guess was, I'm checking out. I'm sick. I'm in pain.
I had doctors telling me how I was actually doing. Doctors are assholes, by the way.
Yeah, they are.
Yes, they are. and doctors don't know the things that they think they know. They're the best.
They don't.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly agree. We agree again.
That scares me. I feel like I should change my opinion now.
And you say I have no power.
No, but if it was a circumstance where I knew, okay, well, this is what's going to happen. I am going to die, and I am just in so much pain that I can't really even focus on the people I love, and I'm just making the people miserable around me. And it's just the chance to let go. Yeah, I'm going to take that option.
Let me throw a caveat in there.
Okay.
Because this is something else I've thought about, is that medical care is not cheap, especially in this country. And if euthanasia was an option for me, I thought I was going to die, and prolonging my life I felt would drive my family into economic dysfunction, I can see myself making the decision to call it a day. But I think that is more of an indictment of our health system than it is anything else.
I don't think you're really calling it a day. I think you're calling it a life at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm calling the whole thing a day. I don't know. And to be honest with you, like I said, I can't imagine being in that kind of pain. Had I been in that kind of pain, I still couldn't imagine it because I'm a human being. So what I say here, hypothetically,
yeah,
I can't say.
Yeah, you can't.
I can't say with any. I think that I would probably prolong it longer than some people.
I would make one final request.
Oh God!
And that would be to punch a baby. I would want to punch a baby.
You're in a hospital. You want to die, so just bottle your way down.
Just like left and right.
To IC, like NICU, so I can punch a weak baby.
So they can't fight back. Oh my God. This show is the worst show. Why are you people listening to this show? That's all I want to know. What is wrong with you people?
All right, we got 12 minutes. Thank you, Leslie. Bye. Don't die. So we've got 12 minutes for me to talk about psychedelics if we're going to talk about psychedelics.
Okay, let's do that. So the other thing I wanted to talk about tonight, one of the other things, we have other things, but we're not going to get to it. Our chat room is obviously very, very obsessed with atheists and psychedelics. So I thought we should talk about what psychedelics, our favorites are, Jay has volunteered to start. So
Oh, I volunteered to start. Okay.
you just did.
Oh, okay. I've only done. Okay, I take that back. I've done 2 psychedelics. I've done LSD and I've done mushrooms. I had an absolutely horrible experience with LSD. The people that were there claimed that I was saying that I was seeing shit. I don't remember seeing anything cool. No tracers. No nothing. The only thing I recall from this is the next day having the worst possible backache. The worst backache I've ever had. And then having to sit in the back of a pickup truck with the little fold-down side seats for 8 hours. So me and LSD haven't had, fun times. Mushrooms are fucking great.
What's great about them?
I can control my dosage, so I can control my trip. I don't like to be out of control. I like to maintain control, and I can enjoy the trip and still be able to do shit. Like if I have to go do a thing. I was actually co-camp lead for a camp at Flipside when I was tripping. So like generators would go down and I would have to go fix a generator while I was tripping, and I could, and it was fun.
You don't want to do that on acid.
Right, exactly.
And I have. I've done acid more than once, and I've never done it to the degree that I didn't know I didn't know I was tripping.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key, and you don't know. I mean, that's the problem. That's you don't know how strong it is. And
You can't predict what it's cut with or its intensity.
right, and if you know how, I mean, I was lucky because every time I did it, and I was also very cautious.
Many times.
And I love them all. I have to say, I never had a bad trip. I never woke up with my back hurting. I had the worst part for me was thinking, gosh, I'm gonna, this is gonna end too soon, and that's as bad as it got, and then not being able to go to sleep after it had kind of gotten old. But that's it. I really enjoyed it.
I've seen the spectrums of good trip, bad trip on LSD. A bad trip on LSD is bad.
Yeah.
Very, very, very bad. You don't want to babysit someone having a bad trip on LSD.
Yeah, and I
Been there, done that. I would not do it again.
I've babysat as well, and most of them are okay. And
Now? You mean most of them are okay now?
no, I mean most of the babysitting jobs were okay. I mean, I don't think I think it's a matter of the mindset going in and keeping somebody in that same type of safe, positive mindset. And if that's the case, I think it usually works out okay if you're careful and don't do
RPD.
17 hits.
I've never done any psychedelics. I've done ecstasy a couple times. They were all
I want to do ecstasy.
they were all speed based, so it was just always really
Oh,
really
that
good
sucks.
until you're tired and it's like, dude, this needs to wear off already because I need to go to sleep. My younger brother though did ecstasy once that was laced with acid. So then I had to babysit him all night, and so that was the only trip that I. So where he was just kind of watching this like soldier figure in like the doorway, and he kept on hearing rain. So I sat up all night with. After his friends passed out, I had to sit up with him all night sober. But that was it. Mine's just always been speed based ecstasy and coke.
I'm so upset
So-
that the chat room has not been working for
Yeah.
me at all today because like
They've been really boring. They've been talking about like
No,
comic books
no,
and
like-
superheroes and shit.
no, like in the post show, I'm like looking at some of the stuff that I've just randomly seen. And it's like really good stuff. Like people talking about chemo, and God, I wish I could have seen it more. I'm with you. I've never done a
So
psychedelic.
random.
There are ones like I don't want to do the speed based.
No, it's not fun.
For a little while,
Speed-based
it's
ecstasy.
fun.
I want to do the pure ecstasy. That appeals to me.
Pure MDMA?
Yeah.
I've heard
wanna
from
do
people
that.
that it's difficult to find, but if you can get your hands on it, it's a
This
lot
is
of
what
fun.
pisses me off. So when I was young,
I never needed any words.
It
Thank
was
you.
legal.
it was legal when I was in
it was
college.
totally legal. Yeah.
Like, I would go out to the quad and I would watch all these people on ecstasy, like
Rolling in the
riding-
grass.
Yeah, that's exactly what they were doing. This rolling around. I was like, this is really interesting to watch. But like, I didn't drink. I didn't do drugs. I was a very straight-laced dude, and I'm so disappointed in myself. It was totally legal when I was in college. I've never done like I tried to do shrooms once, but I think we just got random mushrooms.
They do have a shelf life. I recently did mushrooms.
Oh, really?
I recently did mushrooms and had zero effect whatsoever because they
Okay,
were.
that's what I experienced. So I've never done anything else. I'm kind of curious. Like, can I score them? There are things that I would like to do, but I don't have access, and I'm also like kind of afraid.
If anybody can find me peyote, that's a bucket list item I haven't been able to get my hands on.
the drug of your people.
The chat room's already on peyote. Well, not
I
on peyote. They've mentioned peyote and salvia. And salvia is another one I do because that's supposed to be a real short trip.
Yes, I've heard that salvia is amazing. The one person I talked to said that every time they do it, they continue the last trip they had, and
Shut
they're
up.
literally
Oh, wow.
talking to God for 5 minutes.
We could totally have him on the show.
I would.
I've actually tried to get this person on the show before, and she won't do it.
Oh, we
She's a
should
fucking
totally
believer.
all do this.
No, we could have God
Sky
on the
Daddy.
show.
It's Sky Daddy. Remember Sky Daddy?
Oh.
You remember that?
Oh.
You don't remember that thing that the I had my Facebook up and you.
Oh yeah.
It's that one.
That one. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you guys! Like, Jay let me have his Facebook. He's like, look what this idiot said, and I said, I'll tell you what I would tell her. And Jay's like, well, go ahead. I'm like, really? He let me take over his Facebook and write anything I wanted to her, and I did. How did that work out?
She wasn't too happy.
I actually came across a screenshot of it just a week or two ago,
she
and I was
wasn't a
like,
big fan.
oh man, that
Pretty
was
sure
really
she
shitty.
deleted the whole post.
Yeah. It was like, man, I wouldn't have said that if it was under my Facebook.
No, I'll probably do some non-natural psychedelics in the near future because I've convinced myself that it's probably okay for me to try that. Although I'm not a
You're
big fan
gonna
of
die,
it.
Jay.
Yeah, that's right. I'm gonna die eventually. So you know what? Fuck it. I'm probably gonna step out there and try some of these things.
I'm so pissed off
Maybe
at the
this
chat
weekend.
room. It's like so fucking.
Yeah, if I'm not back for next week, it's because I did some psychedelics this weekend that
We're
things
gonna
didn't agree with me too well.
Jay is still tripping.
Take pictures.
all right, before we go, I wanted to mention Susan in the chat room confirmed that it was Unweaving the Rainbow that Richard Dawkins forward came from. If you haven't heard that, go to YouTube and just probably Richard Dawkins, We Are the Lucky Ones.
Thank you, Terps.
Listen to that stuff. It's so good.
Are you tearing up, or
I
was
know.
that a
Like,
yawn?
are you crying?
Actually, I'm burping, but that's
Even better.
Ew.
Okay, cool. So, anything else we want to discuss in the next 3 minutes?
Patreon.com/Atheist Airwaves. Go to BeSecular.com and do awesome shit in our chat room, and you'll get Be Secular stuff.
Yeah, and we might even have some contests. We'll come up with something.
We'll come up with something. Also, there's going to be some freaking contest with the Expedition 2 thing. I think we'll collect. Are you quitting? I mean, we're not done here.
I can hear you.
Susie? Oh, wow.
Oh, why?
Christ.
You calling her names now?
Probably going to pool some money together, and the winning team gets to decide what charity it goes to.
Cool.
And so you really don't want Jay to win.
Two hug bottles are better than one.
I get to pick a chair. You motherfuckers do realize I'm winning this, right?
You're not winning.
I'm winning
I don't
this.
think so.
Dude, I've already done it.
I'll bet lunch on this. You want to bet lunch?
Yeah, I'll bet anything on this because
Oh, what?
Dude, we've done this. Me and Stevens and Quintanilla, we have all done this before.
Totally
Quintanilla.
rigging the teams, by the way. Really?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, it was.
No, there's no. There's
I know,
no.
right? Quintanilla? Did you hear that too?
What?
I'm out.